So the Florida State Seminoles suck again. Lawson is a pedophile. And Halloween 2025 just happened. Let's get into it.
It's backwards, it's getting exponentially dumb. It's more difficult to get a job than purchase a gun. Eminem used to gay bash and murder his mom, and now he doesn't want fans if they voted for Trump. We're ashamed to be American. You should probably love it, cause you have the right to say it and not get strung up in public. As children we were taught how to walk and talk, but the system wants adults to sit down and shut up. Cancel culture runs the world now, the planet went crazy. Label everything we say as homophobic or racist. If you're white, then you're privileged, guilty by association. All our childhood heroes got me too or they're rapists. They think it's crazy how these people screaming facts, but they fake woke. Hate their neighbor cause he wears a mask or he stays home. Has a daughter, but his favorite artist said he slays hoes. Picks her up from school, music slaps on the way home. Censorship's an issue cause they choose what they erase. There's a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate. I think Black Lives Matter was the stupidest name, when the system's screwing everyone exactly the same. I just want to spend Thanksgiving Day with food and my family, without being accused of celebrating native casualties. We got so divided, it's black and white and political. Republicans are bigots, libtards if you're liberal. There's riots in our streets and it's just getting worse. Y'all screaming deep on the police, y'all are genius for sure. They're underfunded already, they're way too busy to work. Order food and call the cops, see what reaches you first. Use violence to get peace and wonder why it isn't working. That's like sleeping with a football team to try and be a virgin. Politicians are for sale and someone always makes the purchase, but you and I cannot afford it. Our democracy is worthless. If a man has mental illness, call him crazy, say it silently. When country's going crazy, we accept it as society. Get sick and take a pill, when the side effects get you high, you get addicted like these rappers dying fighting with sobriety. Censoring the facts turns our children into idiots. They claim it's for our safety, I'll tell you what it really is. Removing information that empowers all the citizens. The truth doesn't damage points of view that are legitimate. They're trying to change amen to amen and women. How do we let them make praying a microaggression? Instead of asking God for the strength to keep winning, we cheat to get ahead and then we ask him for forgiveness.
So at the time of this recording, FSU just got their asses whooped by Clemson to no one's surprise. Our team this year is better than last year. We have managed to keep a few steady wins. Last year was horrible. Last year we had DJU as our quarterback. He clearly did not give a shit about the football. He was just in it for the fame. And then the year before that, we had Jordan Travis, who has been the best quarterback, at least during my time. But then he tragically broke his leg. And then everything's just kind of gone downhill from there. Something that I do believe is that you have to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, you're going to get bad at it. Because when you love what you do, you're going to want to get good at it. Think of life as a video game. Might not be as exciting on level 1 when you're learning the controls. But if you really like the game that you're playing, then you start to play it more and you start to play it longer. And then you start to get really good at it with practice. And then before you know it, you're an expert. And then when you invite your friends over to play the game, and you play better than them, you make them all look like idiots. Travis loved what he did. I can definitely tell that he loved what he did, and I think that's why we did so amazing in 2023. Florida State was at the top of their game, undefeated champions, and a big thank you goes out to Jordan Travis and Mike Norvell for that. The year 2023 will always be remembered for that. Now, I think the team's motivation got killed because, for starters, the Seminoles were undefeated all year round, and then they were not allowed into the big leagues for some unexplained reason. And then when Travis got injured, I think Travis was basically like the team Superman. Like, I get that Norvell was the coach, but they really looked up to Travis. How Travis motivates himself is a entirely different story, but Norvell being the coach, I'm sure he had a lot to do with that as well. But people on that team and people in Tallahassee, they looked up to Jordan Travis as almost like a god. Like I said, almost like he was their Superman. Everyone, it wasn't just the football team. Everyone looked up to him. Everyone had general respect for him. I personally have had the honor of meeting Jordan Travis a couple times, and let me tell you, he is the nicest guy. You know, a lot of famous people have a bad rep for being cocky or overly arrogant. Let me tell you, the first time I met Travis was inclined. He was out for the night, and I saw him inclined, and I said, "Aren't you Travis?" I said, "Aren't you Jordan Travis?" He goes, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "I'm a fan of yours. Can I get a picture?" So we took a picture. We didn't talk for long because he was with his friends and I was with my friends. I was out with another friend of mine in the Governor Square Mall. Travis was there with the football team, and my friend got excited. He goes up to them and starts talking. And when I said hello to Travis, he actually recognized me. I was actually surprised that the guy remembered who I was, because, you know, this guy is literally the top celebrity in Tallahassee. He's not just famous in Tallahassee, but across the entire country. Anyone who knows college football knows who Jordan Travis is. But every now and then, I would run into him, whether it was at a nightclub. I also saw him at Potts when I used to work there, and he recognized me there too. But, you know, he does live in Tallahassee, so I would see him at Potbelly's, at the nightclubs, at the grocery store. He was out doing everyday stuff that normal people do, just like I did. And every time I saw him, he was very respectful. He was very humble. He was very cool. You know, some of these celebrities, you are into them, and you can smell the arrogance coming off them. They got that Julia Ernst mentality. You know what I'm saying? After Travis broke his leg, the Seminoles lost their final game, and I think a big reason for that is because they didn't have Travis on their team. But I also think that another big reason why they lost is because they lost all of their motivation. Not only did they lose their anchor, but Florida State got denied access to the championships without even an explanation. I mean, how do you even come up with an explanation? They were the champions all year round, undefeated, legendary. Why could they not get into the championships? It's still a mystery today. We're taught since we are kids that you should do what you're good at and do what you like, and if you work hard enough and you're not lazy and you're motivated and you put in the time and the effort, things will go your way and you will get rewarded. They put in the time and the effort. They worked their asses off. The championship basically said, fuck you. We don't care about you guys. We don't care about your hard work. We don't care that you're undefeated. We don't give a shit about any of this. If you're going to go through all that training, sacrifice, I'm sure there were nights where they wanted to go out and have a good time, but they stayed on the football field and trained instead. I'm sure there were nights where they wanted to go home for the weekend. They wanted to go on a date with their girl. They they just want to stay in bed all day and watch a movie. But they got up, they hit the gym, they went for a jog, they downed an energy drink and then hit the gym, and then went to the football field to practice. They practiced over and over and over again. They put in endless hours and hours, thousands of hours of practice and studying, and between that and school and just trying to live a balanced life. They made it all the way to the top of Mount Everest, only to get kicked off the fucking cliff. And you know what they say, legends never die? Jordan Travis was and still is a legend. You know, maybe he can become a football coach or something. Rumor has it that he still lives in Tallahassee. Football needs Jordan Travis, even if he's not out there on the fields. We need Jordan Travis in some way, shape, or form. Travis and football should be as synonymous as Starbucks and coffee. So the next year was 2024. DJU comes in. Now, I'd like to point something out. Myself, my friends, and every other person in college town have seen DJU out partying several nights a week. We've seen him out partying the day before a football game. And I think that's a big reason why the Seminoles were so shit last year, because DJU didn't give a fuck about the sport and he was out partying. Listen, I don't play sports myself, but I've seen sports documentaries, I've seen movies based off of real life stories of athletes. What is the number one rule? The night before your big game, You should be sleeping, all right? If you can't sleep because you got the pre-fight jitters, then you practice. Your head's not going to be in the game if you're yawning on the field. Your head's not going to be in the game if you're hungover. There have been nights where I've drank so much, I can barely get out of bed in the morning. Now imagine drinking that much on a lower metabolism, because most people have a lower metabolism than I do, and having to force yourself out of bed and then going to go play a football game. You're going to lose. Travis did go out. I did see him out every now and then, but it was rarely. And keep in mind, listen, now I don't go out very often, but back then, I was out literally every single night. I saw everyone in the city. I knew everyone in the city because I was out all the time. Rarely saw Travis. And probably why we didn't see Travis out very often is because he was probably focused on self-improvement, whether it was at home or at the gym or on the field. People who make it in life, they don't have time to be hanging out at nightclubs on a regular basis or even semi-regular basis. DJ didn't give a shit. He was in it for the fame and for the money. He was in it for the girls. He also had a noticeably much cockier attitude compared to Jordan Travis, who was very humble. You can definitely notice when the Seminoles are playing badly or when the Seminoles lose, Mike Norvell gets obviously frustrated. You can tell he's disappointed. And then DJ seems to not give a shit. Let's keep in mind the entire city hated DJ. Hated him more than they even hated me. And he didn't seem to give a single shit whatsoever. And I'm sure the rest of the team saw that, and that also killed more of their motivation. Now listen, part of success is being able to do what you don't feel like doing, even when you feel tired, even when you feel unmotivated. But over time, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and don't get improved results, and you stay on motivation, eventually that motivation is gonna kill you. You're not gonna feel motivated 100% of the time. It's impossible. But motivation is very important. And the rest of the team playing on the Seminoles, they're all equally as important. Like, I know the coach and the quarterback are the most important people, right? Norvell and Travis are the most important people. They're the most famous people. But they're not the ones. It's not just Norvell and Travis out on the field. It's Travis and his entire team against a whole nother team. They each have a specific role that they play, and they each need to work together. I think that's a big reason why we did so shitty last year, and why we're kind of doing shitty this year, is because the team seems to be working separately instead of together. Football is like a game of chess, all right? Let's lay out a chessboard really quick. The king is your most important piece, right? You got to protect the king at all costs. However, the king is not the only character on the board. And each character has their own rule, has their own strengths and weaknesses. Each character has their own role to play so that you can be the best chess player. To win a game of chess and to protect your king and defeat the opposite party's king, you need your queen, you need your knights, you need your bishops. Even the pawns have crucial roles to play. And every single time you lose a piece off the board, you expose your king to danger and you risk defeat. DJU had to go. He should have been fired within the first couple of games into 24 season, and he should have been replaced with Brock. Had they actually fired DJ and replaced him with Brock immediately, the Seminoles might have actually had some hope last year. They might have actually won. They might have actually become the champions again. But, there's sports politics, and then money is a factor, and then there's all these contracts, and they didn't fire DJ, and that's stupid. And that's another reason. Listen, DJ is not the only person to blame. It is also the people running Florida State and running these football teams they should have fired him. But they didn't do that. So they're equally to blame for the Seminoles being such an embarrassment last year. This year, 2025, the football season is coming to an end soon. And the Seminoles they started out great, and then they lost some games, won some games. They just lost to Clemson. I think that they're just now starting to build up their motivation again, and they're doing a lot better than they did last year. Obviously, 2023 will always be legendary. And a lot of people are upset that we're not winning every single game. And I'm just like, listen, it's going to take us a minute to find another Travis. Even Travis, when Travis first started, I'm sure Travis didn't win his first football game. He wasn't always the undefeated quarterback. Only through pain and failure does a true champion reveal himself. Because a winner is just a loser who tried one more time. Listen, I think even with our most recent losses, I think the Seminoles are doing a pretty sturdy job. Maybe in time they'll become the undefeated champions again. But they're going to have to fight to keep that title as well. It's not just earning the title, it's also defending and keeping that title. That's how sports go, that's how fight goes, that's how life goes, you know? At first you're on top, and then the other team comes, and then they have you, and then you come back on top, and then you have them. That's how it goes. And now my final note on the Seminoles is Mike Norvell. Everyone's talking shit about Norvell, saying that he needs to be fired, that he's a horrible coach. Let me ask you something. Are you being coached by Mike Norvell? Are you in the locker room listening to his lectures? Are you out on the field getting yelled at by him? No? Okay, then shut the fuck up. You don't know that Mike Norvell is a good or bad coach. Personally, I don't think Norvell is the problem at all. From the things that I've seen in the interviews that I've seen, he seems like a very well-disciplined, very put-together guy. He cannot rewire their brains like computers for them to do exactly what he says. He might be the one to take the blame and take all the responsibility, but keep in mind that these are still individual people playing on the team. To succeed in life, you need 3 Ds: desire, devotion, and discipline. The first 2 I can't give you. The third I can, but you have to be willing to receive it. If they're not willing to receive his discipline, it's not going to work. If he's trying to discipline them and motivate them, but they don't have the desire and they don't have the devotion, it's not going to work out for them. And you know what? Norvell is not to blame for that because, like I said, he can only do so much as a coach. All right? It's not like he can beat them into submission. He can't rewire their brains to do what he commands them to do. There's only so much he can do. And from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like he has the authority to fire or replace players. Because if he did, I am 99% sure that he would have fired DJU within his first or second game. So I blame the football player. There is someone on that team or multiple people on that team who lack the desire and devotion and are unwilling to receive the discipline required to win. You should want to win because no one likes a fucking loser. Because if you keep losing these football games, that reputation will follow you for the rest of your life. And you're going to spend the rest of your life after college with shitty girlfriends, living in shitty apartments, working shit jobs. That is the difference between a boy and a man. Is boys lose and give up. Boys stay unmotivated and undisciplined. Boys lack the 3 Ds required to succeed. Men are willing to receive the discipline. Men are willing to get up no matter how many times they've been hit. Men are the ones who keep trying until they win, and then after they win, They train some more so that they can keep winning and stay undefeated. Because one thing is getting the title of a champion, now you need to defend that title. So yeah, basically if I was you, and I kept losing every football game I ever participated in, I'd strongly consider killing myself. Halloween 2025. Halloween is my favorite holiday. It's actually the only holiday I celebrate, and I look forward to it all year round. And I had made plans to go to Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. The two attractions I was looking forward to the most were the Terrifier Haunted House and the Five Nights at Freddy's Haunted House. But unfortunately, I had to change my plans because 2 days before Halloween, I was bit by a spider. And I got really sick. I actually almost ended up in the ER because of how bad it got. I found a rather large spider in my apartment complex. This thing was so big, it shouldn't even live in Florida. Like, I've seen spiders that size in Georgia. Yeah, Georgia has some pretty large spiders. This spider was way too big to be a Florida spider. I don't know what the fuck it was doing here. I don't know how it got in my apartment. I smashed it, and then later that day, I started having all the symptoms of a spider bite. I actually have been bitten by a spider once before when I was 14 and on a trip in Gainesville. I got bit by a spider and had the same symptoms, but it was nowhere near as bad as the symptoms I had this time. So I had to get on medication for it. This happened on the 29th. I was supposed to leave on the morning of the 30th to go to Orlando. Well, that didn't work out because I stayed sick until about sometime in the night on the 30th. Luckily, I was healed up in time for Halloween itself. I went out with Ace Prodigy. Didn't go to any clubs, though. I went to a house party instead, because the nightclubs suck for Halloween time. Let me tell you something. Not only are the lines a fucking nightmare, but most of the clubs don't allow weaponry, even fake weaponry or masks. Like, I can understand if you don't want people bringing weapons into the club. If someone's dressed up as a knight and they bring a sword made out of foam, why can't you let them into the club with that? Why do they gotta leave that at home? Or in my case, there's been several years actually where I've tried to go into clubs and they gave me a hard time because I often wear masked costumes. For example, last year I went as Ghostface. And one of the clubs that I went to didn't want me to go inside. They told me that I had to take my mask off. So I figure like, okay, that's fine. I'll just take my mask off and walk around while holding it. They're like, oh no, you can't bring it in at all. Like, you need to go leave it at home. You do realize who I'm dressed up as, right? The mask is the most important part of a costume. Because without the mask, I'm basically just some guy in a black hood. This is how I would do it. Have people take off their masks at the door so that you can properly ID them. Check their weapons to see if they're fake or real. If they're obviously fake weapons, like a foam axe or something, let them into the fucking club. Let them in with their masks on. Like, y'all are literally killing the Halloween spirit. So yeah, I ended up going to a house party instead. Now, all month long, people were asking me what my Halloween costume is. I never like to reveal my Halloween costume until the day of Halloween. So I told people this year I'm going dressed as a monkey because I am a nigger. Tricked the whole city again. I actually went as Red Hood from DC Comics. If you don't know who Red Hood is, his real name is Jason Todd. He was Batman's second Robin. Basically got killed by the Joker and then years later came back to life as the Red Hood, who went from a supervillain to anti-hero. Now, I did not realize how fucking simple this costume was. It was so easy because the Red Hood's outfit is basically just a biker's outfit. You know, you got a leather jacket and pants on and biker gloves, which I already had. Really, all I needed to get was the Red Hood helmet and a red Batman shirt. This is the simplest Halloween costume I've ever done, yet it's also the coolest. Like, I'm wearing my costume and I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, holy shit, I look badass. Like, we're walking around the city and everyone's wearing the same shit. Everyone's going as Batman, everyone's going as Snow White, See, this is what I don't get, is women dressing like total whores on Halloween and then complaining that they're cold. They're like, oh, it's cold out. Yeah, well, maybe if you put some fucking clothes on, you wouldn't have that issue. One thing is being sexy, another is being a fucking whore. What's your costume? Oh, you can't tell? No, because all I see is some bitch in a bra. Oh, I'm a caveman. I'm pretty sure cavemen didn't have their ass cheeks out, but okay. Or my personal favorite, slutty nun. So I guess you're not a Christian then. Oh, no, I'm a Christian. I go to church every Sunday and I read my Bible. Look at your costume. What's wrong with it? There is a cross in between your tits and your ass cheeks are out. This is quite literally the textbook definition of blasphemy. You are not a Christian, you are a cunt. And don't even get me started on the cunts out in their penis hats. Like, I saw some stores were selling fucking inflatable penises, inflatable condoms, fucking penis slippers. I look at this and I go, alright, absolutely anyone who's wearing these is a fucking retard. Oh, but it's funny. Bro, I'm not laughing at you. You just look retarded. You look fucking retarded. Yeah, Meadow Eads, she's this upcoming influencer in Tallahassee. She's probably gonna be the next Julia Ernst. Anyway, she's a fucking hoe. Her backstory is her dad committed suicide when she was 12, so now she's a hoe. Now she dresses like a hoe, she acts like a hoe, she wears a penis hat on a Halloween costume She wears a penis hat on Halloween to represent how many dicks she's taking down her throat. I don't follow her, but I've definitely heard a lot about her. And I've heard her preach about how going out 7 days a week is healthy for the soul and mind. You sound retarded, but I used to have a similar mentality. Except I wasn't taking a lot of dick. And then she's always whining about, oh, I'm not a whore. You can show your body without being a whore. Do you know the definition of a whore? Having your tits and ass cheeks out and literally no inch of your body covered except what is legally required by law to be covered. That is the definition of a fucking whore. And then she gets defensive and she's like, guys, I'm not a slut. I don't get cracks, I promise. I've only kissed 2 people this year. Only. Why are you proud of that? Why are you sharing this on the fucking internet? And the fact that she gets so defensive over people calling her a whore is because she is a whore. You call a rich man poor, all he'll do is smirk at you. You call a strong man weak, all he'll do is smirk at you. Because he knows that you're wrong and he knows he doesn't need to prove himself. The people who get defensive are almost always 100% guilty for whatever it is that they're being accused of. So Meadow's dad killed himself when she was 12, probably because he was disappointed in his daughter and couldn't bear the thought of seeing her grow up to be a fucking whore. But that was her own downfall because now she had to grow up without a dad, and therefore she's now filling that void by being a whore. All these idiots walking around with their fucking peanut tats. Listen, if you even remotely think about getting a penis hat for a second, stay as far the fuck away from me as possible. I'm going to buy the penis factory and then burn it down to the ground. Last thing on Halloween, I saw Dylan Hodges. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've had a rivalry with Dylan Hodges. There was a whole thing between me and him, and then me and his ex-girlfriend, and then me and his ex are now friends, and now we both hate him. Well, I don't really hate him anymore, because, he's a weakling. He can't do anything to me, so I ran into him in Halloween. So we started kind of arguing about the whole situation. He was like, oh, what happened was 2 years ago. I'm like, I don't care. That doesn't make it right. And he's like, dude, like, we're cool. He's like, I don't have an issue with you. I don't hate you. He's like, I don't want to fight. He's like, I want to be cool. I'm like, well, let's see. I bashed you several times. I took your girl. Yeah, we're cool. I mean, I've already proved that I can kick your ass. You know, me and Emma Murr are friends. Last I checked, she has you blocked. So Murr's only flaw is why the fuck is a supermodel dating a loser who looks like an elementary school student? Seriously, what does any girl see in him? Yeah, the fact that Murr dated that thing raises some questions, but other than that, she's pretty cool. And then Hoff just was like, let's get a picture together. I'm like, okay, yes, I go to put my helmet on. And then he goes, no, wait, you got to keep the helmet off, because how are we going to know it's Adonis? Because I'm the only Red Hood in the entire fucking city. And for our final subject, Lawson is a pedophile. Years ago, I used to run a group chat called Party Animals on Snapchat. It was pretty popular. People were always wanting to join it. And it was always at mass capacity. So, as the leader of this group chat, I told everyone that, like, hey, there's a lot of people who are not active in this group chat. Like, they don't open it for months, they don't say anything, they don't whatever. I'm like, this is your final warning. If you're not going to use the group chat, I'm going to kick you out because there are people who want to join. Well, one of the people that I kicked out was this girl named Ryan Burgies. She texted me about it after I kicked her out. Funny enough, she hasn't opened the group chat in months, but then as soon as I kick her out, she gets upset at me for it. Cuts me off before I even had a chance to respond. So, I was friends with this guy named Lawson Woolry at the time. We were talking about it, and he says to me, he goes, you know that girl is 16, right? I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I met her at the Tally Strip. What do you mean she's 16? Listen, now I am well aware of the fact that the Tally Strip allows minors into their bar all the time. So if you meet a girl at the Tally Strip, make sure that she's of age. Because this is not the first time that I've met a girl that was 16 or 17 years old hanging out in that club. So I asked Lawson, how do you know that she's 16? Because, you know, I met her at a club, so I assumed she was of age. Why the fuck would they let a 16-year-old girl, like if they check IDs at the door, why would they let a 16-year-old girl into a nightclub? According to Lawson, the two of them worked together at a couple of different jobs and stayed in touch afterwards. I would have never guessed in a million years that Ryan was 16. There is nothing about her at all that made me think, oh, maybe she's in high school, maybe she's a child. No, she looks and acts like a full-grown woman. So I'm over here thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, well, I guess it was a blessing that she cut me off, because, listen, I have no business talking to teenagers. Ryan wasn't someone that I spoke to a lot. She was more of an acquaintance and a friend, really. I mean, we basically just met and I guess exchanged contact information, but I never really talked to her. I would run into her when I went out, and we would catch up then, but other than that, we never really spoke. So I'm over here thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, I'm actually relieved that she cut ties with me, because if someone finds out that I've been talking to a 16-year-old chick, that doesn't make me look good. But then Lawson texts me, bro, I would catch a case for her. I'm sorry, what? He's like, yeah, she's hot. I'm like, she's a minor. What's wrong with you? And I guess Lawson trusted me because we were friends at the times, and I feel like this is when I started to like think differently about Lawson now. Lawson was at one point a great guy, or so he seemed. We got along great. He knew a lot of different people in the city. I was much younger back then. If the same situation happened now, I would probably go straight to the cops and tell them, hey, even without proof, I would tell them, like, hey, this guy's friends with a fucking minor. But something that I learned, and something that I generally still practice today, is minding your own fucking business. You know the saying, snitches get stitches? I know that's a saying in prison, but it applies to the real world too. Basically, if you get your nose up in someone's business and you have no business being up in their business, especially if you snitch on them to the wrong person, or you snitch on them and you don't have proof of what you're talking about, or they find a way to turn the situation around on you, yeah, you're basically fucked. You're fucked for life. So I know you might be listening to this and thinking, what are you talking about? You know, your whole podcast, you constantly expose people. Well, I only expose my enemies. But typically speaking, whatever people are doing, unless it directly affects me or someone is gonna get seriously hurt, I kind of just ignore it and pretend I don't know what's going on. When Lawson said that, when he made that comment, I kind of thought to myself, I'm like, okay, well, based on my own analysis, I've known Lawson for some time, and I don't think that's something he would do. I thought initially that he was probably just making a really ill-tasted joke. And yeah, basically, I just thought to myself, I'm like, I'm gonna just pretend that he never said that. And, you know, if he wants to fuck around with a 16-year-old and end up in jail, that's his business, not mine. I'm not the one talking to her. He quite literally said in his own words, I would catch a case for her. You know, I kind of have an excuse, because if something were to happen between us and the authorities found out, I could be like, hey, I actually thought this was a full-grown woman. Lawson, on the other hand, was fully aware of her age and still willing to take the risk. Since that situation, I've heard rumors from other people that Lawson likes minors. And I've even heard people tell me that he will often sneak them into nightclubs. I don't know how true any of that is, or if it's even true, but based on that whole Ryan situation a couple years back, it definitely raises some questions hearing that. That's the problem about being a genuinely bad person, is if you're a bad person, people can literally make shit up about you that's not true, but people will believe it's true because they're like, oh yeah, well, he's a bad person. Of course he'd do something like that. Now, if there is one major flaw in Lawson's character, it is that he is a simp. This guy, he came up in a conversation, someone else who was also not friends with him. There's a lot of people that I know, actually, that were once friends with Lawson and now are no longer friends with Lawson because Lawson has become a fucking weirdo. But he said to me, Lawson acts like a pussy because he gets no pussy. Now, this guy simps over literally every girl he meets, especially if she's blonde. I mean, it is sickening. And the thing is, it's like he doesn't know that he's actually scaring them away. He'd text me and be like, oh, this girl blocked me. I'm like, well, yeah, you asked her to fart in the drawer. Of course she blocked you. Or you just met a girl and you're asking if you can sniff her, if you can put your face in her tits. Of course she's gonna block you. She just met you. What? You know, Lawson lied a lot to try to make himself look cool. He once said that his father was the owner of Recess. He also likes to brag a lot about the fact that he's friends with cops. But in my experience, people who actually are tight with cops don't brag about it because they don't want you to know that they're friends with the cops. Yeah, I also remember one time he was trying to sell me his used Gucci shirts. I'm not into fashion at all. And he sends me a picture of blank white shirt with the words Gucci on it. Asks if I want to buy it for like $150. I'm like, no. He's like, dude, it's Gucci. Who the fuck cares? It is a plaid white shirt. I don't even like the color white, okay? I don't wear white shit because it doesn't look cool, especially when it gets dirty and full of stains that you can't wash out. I don't wear white clothes. In my closet right now, not a single piece of white clothing, not even my underwear is white. And the Gucci across it in black letters, listen, every now and then, I go to the Governor Square Mall, there's this stand next to the food court, there's these two guys that print out shirts, you can pick out a design or send them your own design, and they'll print it out for you for about $20. I can literally go down there right now, choose a shirt of my own personal color, and tell them, hey, can you put Gucci on it? And they'll do it for $20 instead of $150. And then I can walk around College Town and get all this love and attention, and oh my god, look, he's so hot, he's so popular, he's so famous because he's got a Gucci shirt on. It's a fake! I'm wearing a fake shirt, you old hag! Fuck no, I'm not spending $150 on a used shirt. Do I look retarded? Is that what you're spending your money on? No wonder you're fucking broke. So yeah, Lawson's a weird ass guy, and I started to notice that a lot over the years. And I didn't cut him off for a while because he was one of the first people that I met in Tallahassee. So I felt like we kind of felt like this friendship bond. Like, oh yeah, he's like day one. We've known each other for so long, I can't do that to him, you know. He just has a few flaws, but, you know, I'm not like that anymore. Now I will cut you off in an instant. I've cut off my entire family. I've cut off people that I've known for several years. You could be my best friend on the entire fucking planet. The minute that you do something that pisses me off enough that I can't see past it, that I'm actually starting to think differently of you as a person, I'm cutting you off. I don't care. And I will admit, I am taking a big risk talking about this on my podcast because what happened with the whole Ryan situation was years ago, and I no longer have the proof to prove that Lawson said the things that he said. To put this in simpler terms, I know that Lawson is a pedophile, but I don't have actual proof that he's a pedophile. So it's a possibility that he could sue me for defamation. Will he sue me? Probably not, because he's a pussy. But it is a possibility that I could get into some legal trouble and possibly even jail time for defamation. Because here's the thing, it is a crime to spread lies, and to defamation is a crime, or to lie to the cops to try and get someone in trouble. It's called putting in a falsified police report. That's also a crime. So if I go to the cops and I say, hey, this person's a pedophile, and then I can't show them any proof, they could actually arrest me for defamation. Now, if a girl accuses me of raping her without any proof, the cops will probably arrest me. And then if they later find out that the girl was lying all along, they'll just set me free and drop the case entirely. So I can go to jail because I have reason to believe someone's a pedophile, but I don't have any proof. A girl can actually get me in jail for not doing anything, but she can lie and say I raped her, and then they'll later find out that she was lying, and then they'll just drop the case. That's why I want nothing to do with law enforcement. Listen, some people have told me, you know, with all the problems you've been going through, it might be a good idea to get on the cops' good side. You should become friends with the police. You know, apparently the sheriff's department is hiring. They said you should go apply. I'm like, listen, I want nothing to do with the cops. It's not that I have anything against the cops. Well, I do have something against the Florida State Police Department. But as far as TPD, I don't have anything against them. Now, I've dealt with a lot of them over the years. Some of them are douchebags, some of them are retarded, and some of them are great individuals. It's just like any other job in the world, you know. You go to a restaurant, and just because you run into your waiter's a cocky smartass doesn't mean they're all cocky smartasses. Just because your waitress is a nice girl doesn't mean that they're all nice either. Now, I do think that there are police officers on the force who do want to better the community, and they do like helping people, and they do strive to make the city a safer and better place. I do think that there are some police officers that have that mentality, but they don't show it because they get shit on a lot and they're underappreciated, not necessarily by like the city itself, but people that live in the city. Think of it like a superhero movie. You've ever seen a Spider-Man movie where he's doing everything in his power to show that he's a good person and people still hate him? Or most recently, the Superman movie where everyone believes he was a bad guy over some rumor despite all the good that he's done? The cops are going through the same thing too. No matter what they do, there are always people who are going to shit on them and don't appreciate them. There are people who hate cops simply for being cops. There are people who've had experience with cops and they start thinking that they're all like that, and for that reason they hate cops. And so what happens is you now have police officers who are like, why the fuck am I even a police officer then? Why the fuck am I going to go out of my way to help you if you're just going to throw it back in my face later? And then there are cops who are on a power trip who think that because they carry a badge, they can do whatever they want to. They know the law, and therefore they know all the loopholes around the law, or more specifically, they know how to bend the law or even break the law without getting caught. That's what we call crooked police officers. And they are out there in not just this city, but in every city. It's just a factor of life. There are good and bad people on both sides. Now, generally speaking, the Tallahassee Police Department, I've had more good experiences with them than bad ones. They've always been very polite. They've always taken time to explain things to me even when they didn't have to. They've always been very helpful, and that is something that I appreciate. And they themselves have told me that a big reason why they are very helpful towards me is because I'm very honest with them. They have told me that a lot of the people that they deal with oftentimes lie to try and get themselves out of situations. When TPD talks to me about a situation, I'm very honest about everything. Even if I said or did something that might make me look bad. Now keep in mind I haven't actually broken any laws, but you know I talk in a way that some people might view as negative. So even when I say or do things that might, other people might be like, oh, leave that part out because, it's going to make you look bad in front of the cops. No. Fuck that. Honesty, you know what? Honesty is the best policy because it's easier to tell the truth than keep track of your lies. So I tell them everything. And I've had several police officers tell me that a reason why that they're so helpful towards me is because I'm helpful towards them and I'm very honest towards them. And they said that they appreciate it more because they deal with so many people who lie to their faces nonstop. Does that mean that I want to be their friend? No, not really. That doesn't mean that I have to be unfriendly, though. You can be friendly towards someone without being their friend. Now, people have been telling me that I should become friends with the cops for protection. Number one, I don't need protection, and I've proven that quite a few times, actually. If you're gonna become friends with someone for their career or what they have or for protection, you're becoming friends with them for the wrong reasons. You should be friends with people for who they are as a person and because you like them for who they are, not what they are, not what they can do. I'm a very controversial person. I say a lot of things that piss people off, and I've had a lot of people cut ties with me because of that. I've had some of my best friends cut ties with me or turn against me because I said something about a sensitive topic that they disagreed with. So let's say I become friends with the police department. Then I say or do something that pisses them off because it's in my nature to do those things. If I say or do something that pisses them off so much, that's gonna put me in a worse situation because now when people want to fuck up my life, the police are gonna be the first ones there to do it. Right now, it's fine because I don't really know them. And so what I'm saying, even if I'm poking fun at the police, that's not really something that they're taking personally because they don't know me. So they know it's not personal. When I talk about controversial shit on here, it's not something personal. And I haven't done anything illegal, so there's no reason for them to be coming after me. So I don't want to become friends with the police department. It doesn't mean that I need to be their enemy, just a cordial acquaintance. As far as working in law enforcement or with the police, that's also a big no-no, because while the system does have its pros, there are a lot of cons, and in my opinion, I feel like the cons outweigh the pros, but that's a subject we can get into for another episode. What made me come on here and talk about Lawson in the first place? Well, the guy tried to get me arrested. Discussed in previous episodes, I had some drama with this girl, Carly Lane. She basically lied to another girl, said I was stalking her, which then caused me to get mad at her, which then caused us to fight. And I cut ties with her. And then the cops called me because Carly went to the cops and told them that I threatened her. That wasn't the case. We did have an argument, but I didn't threaten her. I told the cops what happened. And nobody went to jail because, despite the fact that she claims that I had texted her these threats, she couldn't show the police officers these texts. So obviously she was lying. Woolry had a large part to do with that. So Woolry was simping over Carly like he simps over any other girl. And Woolry was always begging for her attention, even though she was in a completely different fucking state. When me and Carly had that argument, and after I cut ties with her, she went to Lawson about it and had him forward me a video of her beating up a punching bag and implying that she was then going to use those moves on me. I responded that she didn't have a chance and that, I'd be the one to win that fight. And then Lawson starts talking about, threatening people can get you in jail, right? I'm like, she threatened me first. I'm just responding to her threat. So Lawson starts going off about how I'm threatening her, and he starts sending me screenshots from the internet talking about how I can serve time in jail for threatening people, even if I didn't threaten her directly. I'm like, bro, I am not going to jail, okay? I literally have her blocked, and then she used you to get to me to send me a video where she's beating up a punching bag and then saying that she's gonna do that to me. That's a threat. And after this happened, I spoke with the police because she called the cops on me and she said that I was the one threatening her when it was actually the other way around. After all this happened, I made a podcast episode about all of this and I called Carly out for her bullshit. And I went as far as to say that if Carly went through with the threats that she made towards me, I would kill her in self-defense. So now she's whining that I'm threatening to kill her with no context. Now, I don't know everything that went on between Carly and Lawson as far as that whole conversation goes, but I do know Lawson definitely had something to do with her calling the cops on me, because first he's telling me that I could go to jail for threatening her, and he's strongly implying that I'm gonna go to jail for threatening her. Then the next day, the cops call me with a report from her saying that I was sending her threatening messages. Let me tell you something. A few years back, Carly went out, and when she got home, a frat boy followed her to her house and tried to rape her. I told Carly to call the cops, and she wouldn't call the cops because she was afraid that the cops wouldn't believe her. She was afraid that the cops wouldn't believe her, and then they would then get mad at her because they would believe that she was lying to them. I spent about 30 minutes trying to convince her to call the cops because this was a serious conversation. And then I just called the cops myself and had them go to her house, and I told them what happened. Now, if Carly wouldn't call the cops over attempted rape, do you really think she would willingly call the cops because her and I had an argument? No. Lawson put that idea in her head because Lawson wants her to like him. Lawson wants her attention. Lawson knew that her and I were having problems, and he knew that she didn't like me at the moment. So he tried to fuel her hate, thinking that, hey, if I tell her what to do, if I can get this guy in trouble, if I can make her feel better about the situation, maybe she'll like me. Maybe she'll give me a chance. Carly's a full-grown woman, and she's responsible for her own actions. But as someone who knew her pretty well, I can tell you she's a very gullible person. I blame Lawson for what happened as much as I blame Carly for it. And that's when I blocked him, and that's when I cut him off, because he quite literally was willing to put me in jail over a girl. He knew I did nothing wrong. He knew that I wasn't doing anything illegal. He knew that she was the one who threatened me first. He was the one who sent me the video. He was just trying to get in her good graces. And so to wrap this up, let me educate you on something. If you want to make it in life, you must never become friends with a weakling, because weak people will betray you. If your friend has a weakness for gambling, he will steal your money. If he has a weakness for girls, he will sleep with your ex, or in my case, try to put me in jail for it. Weaklings are mosquitoes that must be exterminated at all costs, because they will betray you and they will be your downfall. Andrew Tate tells a story. When he was younger, he was at his girlfriend's house, and her ex was jealous. So her ex shows up with his friends to jump Andrew Tate out of jealousy. Andrew Tate's standing there with his friend, and his friend goes, come on. So Andrew's getting ready to throw down. He's getting ready to fight all these guys. But his friend goes, come on, let's find a peaceful way out. Let's not do this. Andrew looks at him, knocks his own friend out for being a weakling. And the other guys crapped themselves and took off because, Tate just knocked out his own friend. But there's a very important lesson to this. If you're in danger, do you want friends that will have your back and will fight by your side and will help you get out of danger, or more specifically, help you eliminate the danger? Or do you want friends that are cowards who are going to say, oh, let's resolve this more peacefully, and then you're all going to get your asses beat? Listen, me and Lawson were good friends for a long time, and I always have those memories. But Lawson is not the man that he used to be. Or maybe he was the man that he now is, and he was just really good at hiding it, and I've just become better at reading people's bullshit. But let me end this on a final note, because the fact is, and by all means, please take all the offense you need, Lawson Woolry went from a hero to a real zero. That's all for today. Thanks for listening to the Adonis podcast.